Well，大家好，我对不起，我不说英语，中文一点点。我的孩子是中国人，and 我有两个孩子in Shanghai。所以我说英语、美语、法语、意大利语、西班牙语，but I am Colombian. In fact, not Italian. I am born in Bogota, in South America. Well, now this conference, I hope you will enjoy it. It's a very short introduction because, of course, we can talk about branding and corporate for many hours. But I want to clarify some points because sometimes I think the people are misguided by the name and what we call design. In fact, today, the name, the word design means too much things. So when it's meaning too much things, means nothing. In my field, I work for brands, and all the examples I am showing to you today are from the cosmetic industry. In my life, now I am designer 30 years. Yes, I am old. And I have worked in a lot of cases in many kind of industries. But today we will focus on cosmetics. In cosmetics, I have been involved from long years. At this time, well, long years ago, the designers were not interested too much in cosmetics because they think it was very boring packagings to do, just the small colors, small letters, very strict, not very interesting. I was interested because, in fact, also as Mrs. I don't remember your name, sorry. But I have done philosophy and I have studied a lot of things about poetry and the woman. Of course, now the cosmetics, it's also the man, but at this time, it was almost the female. And my career also has been involved in perfumes for long, long years. I have been one of the 5 or 6 top first designers in the fragrance area. Today, I want to explain some short clues about branding and design corporate. Because sometimes the design people ask me, oh, Federico, you are the artist, and do what you want. Well, it's flattering, but it's wrong. I am not an artist on this way. I do art, I do paintings, I write poetry, I do other things in my side. But when I work for brands, I work for business, and the brands, in fact, do business with the products. So I want we stick on this point. Shortly, it's some little things I have done. I prefer you check my website. There is more explanation. But it's to show you I have worked in many countries, well, almost all, in cosmetics and makeup, perfumes. And for this reason, now I can say I have a small knowledge about this field. And this field, because I came in China 8 years ago, interests me a lot because China, it's a country very developed and, of course, at the very beginning, but already developed in cosmetics. In the Asian culture, all what is about the well-being is very important. So I came here thinking that it would be great to share with Chinese how we build the cosmetics, for example, Clarins, de Cléor, because there are some clues are not only on the design. And the design is not just put a color, have a logo, and it's finished. It's very much things. So here, I'm sorry, I need my glasses. So the branding design, in fact, is not an art. The design and the branding is not a science too. Many things in this era are in fact, came from the intuition and the observation. The observation is very important. That's why when I do lectures in schools, when I do lectures in some company, and I have done here in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Guangzhou, in Shenzhen, I try to explain to the marketing people that it's very important to have an observation about what is happening around in the world, all around. I had a company for a long time, for 10 years in Seoul, and believe me, the Korean market is, well, it's a big market in sales, but the Koreans are very few, and it's amazing how much they buy the cosmetics there. I have learned there a lot about Asians. I came here, I have worked for some companies, and I have tried to explain that all the branding, it's in fact the analysis of what is behind your brand, what is the feeling, and what is the understanding by the consumers. When you have done this analysis, all the branding is a process who involve many parts of the brand. And the brand is not only a packaging, a bottle, it's many things. This, it's a target. In fact, it's called la théorie des cercles, in French, the circle theory. It's not my invention. It's honestly, I think in the marketing, I am not a guru in design, but this will explain you how you need to work a brand. As you see, the last circle is the concept. In fact, what means concept? It's the idea or the purpose of the brand you are building. In the center is the consumer. So this is your target. Is the people you want to have as customers. So what happened from the concept to the consumers? And this is the way to work a brand, because you need to go step by step to the top and to the end, the consumer, and of course to earn some money. So after when you have defined the concept, you need to begin all the work about, of course, the signals, the presentation, and the packaging is your first advertisement body, because packaging, you put it on the shelf, he needs to express what you want to say to the consumer. Of course, I put product design, packaging, corporate. I will explain you also something about corporate, because sometimes clients think, they tell me, okay, do me a logo. And they think just the logo will be enough to have a big brand. It's not totally real, and I will give you a very huge example everybody knows. For example, Apple. Here I see some computers. Here I have an Apple. The logo Apple by himself, like the whoosh of Nike, would be nothing if these brands have not applied a whole system. And the corporate, it's the system. The strength of a brand is the system, is not just one signal. It's how you build, piece by piece, each thing to another. So, product design, packaging, the shapes, the dimensions, of course, also the literature, I would say, in the cosmetics is very important. As you will see after with Clarence, I have worked a lot with Mr. Courtin-Clarence. He was obsessed by the words, and he was totally right. After this stage of product design, you go to advertising, communication, PR, networking, social networking. All the systems now have evaluated, of course. 20 years ago, or 30 years when I begin, this was not real. The point of sales material, this is also clueless, because it's very important to have a material who help the consumer to understand. In China, the difference between, but you are like we were, I don't know, 40 years ago in the West, you have many sellers. So, because here you can afford the sellers. But in the West side, since many years, there are less and less sellers, because it's very expensive for brands to have sellers, even if they are small or beginning. So, the packaging and the POS material, all the design process we have talked about before, need to be very clear for the consumer. When I say POS, there is also the store. So for this is for brands who build their own stores or build shop-and-shops. Okay? And at the end, we have the consumer. This way to work a brand, it's, well, looks like very simple, but very few apply it. And I am sure, because you can check around the brands among the world, the brands who have a big success, they have worked like this, and not in another way. I have discovered sometimes in some places and with some companies, they'd say me, okay, Mr. Restrepo, the design, I have my consumer, how much I will afford? We can't know. I'm sorry. If the designers could say, okay, if you do the design, you can earn plus 20%, 10%, 5%, well, if I have this clue, I will be the richest in the world. But it's not the case. So it's only the consistency and the way to work like this. At least you will lose less. If you don't follow this rule, you have many risks. And this, I observe it every day. Here in China, for the moment, your market, I would say, it's very flexible. It's open. It's not finished. In the West side, we fight to kill. All the brands fight to kill the others. So, for this reason, they need to apply these very strict rules. Well, I have explained you that. It just was for the printing version. Just to clarify also a little bit what is the design, is what I said before. The design commitment and my way of work, and if I have been an expert for many companies and groups all around the world, is because I work on this way. I am not just going to the brand and say, okay, I am Federico Restrepo, please listen to me, you change the color because this is Buchau, and I do the future of your brand. Is not the way. When I go to work with a brand and I work with a team, for some time, I spend time to speak with the people, to observe all the signals of the brand, and to understand what is behind. And after, I give my conclusions. When I have observed that, I have done my analysis, I can at the end say, okay, I think here there is a problem, here there is a mistake. And this is not artistic, this is analysis. That's why, and I have been graduated in PhD in philosophy, and this helped me a lot to do this kind of analysis of the brands, because it's just method. Second thing, the first thing we need to analyze when we enter in a working session with a brand, it's to understand what are the key values. And I would like now to introduce to you shortly, but 5 clue points to answer when you enter, when you are, for example, marketing director, R&D, or whatever, or president of a brand. You need to ask you all these 5 questions. If you can answer to all, and all the answers are matched one to the other, I think you have a good point. As you will see, this also looks like very, very simple. But the truth, when you observe the market everywhere, you see some brands, they don't answer to that. And the response of the market, it's clear. After 1 year, perhaps, or 2, they disappear, or after they need so much, or they need to change all the time. The first question you need to ask you when you have, you create something, whatever, brand, mostly in cosmetics, because here we talk about cosmetics, it's to be unique and different. I know this is, it's not so simple to understand. Be unique means you are not just a copy or a little copy of the leader. You need to have your own integrity and to have a special message, okay? Different is this. So, okay, in cosmetics, the final consumer is the woman or the man, but each one look for something, have a different taste. And now, with the communication we have on the world, every day on the internet, every day with so many image messages, we have some communities that before we haven't seen. Today we can observe that there are a lot of communities. Even one people can be can like something and the contrary, or something depends which time, which year, how old is he, where he come from, what is his culture. But for a brand, you need to have your point. To be recognizable. Also, this can be like an evidence. But if you look at the market and the shelves, I don't want to tell you which brands I'm thinking of, but you can see some, they are just a little copy of the neighbor. And on this way, is not a good thing, because after the message is not clear and is confusing. The brands need to have their own codes. For example, when you see the red of, I don't know, Coca-Cola, or the orange of Hermes, is recognizable, it's strong. When you see the orange in Champagne, it's Clicquot. When you see the blue in Champagne, it's Pommery. The colors, it's important, the codes, the signals. For this, you need to have the recognizable. Example, Nike, you see this line called the whoosh. Well, today they don't write Nike. So this is one of the best examples in the world to understand that a signal is very important. In China, the symbols are very important, because sometimes Chinese don't read the foreign characters, the Latin characters. So they remember the signs, like the logo LV, the double C of Chanel, the double G of Gucci, the F of Fendi, etc. Third point. When you create or you are developing a brand, you need to have very clear, and the team who work on the brand need to understand exactly what are the roots. So I would like to explain a little bit what are the roots. In fact, every company has begun with an idea. L'Oréal, for example, the first market they have had was the hair. Monsieur Schuller was an inventor in the hair. That's why they have a so big strength on this market. Today there are other groups, of course, but at the very beginning, L'Oréal was essentially on that, and after they have developed, well, I am talking about 60, 70 years ago. Steve Jobs, he had just a vision, because, well, honestly, it's a computer. Now the PC are nice too. There are many beautiful, but he has invented something. He said, okay, Apple will do products of computing, because the MS-DOS, people don't understand. He thought about 20 years after, and our roots will be a software. Simple, funny, beautiful, modern, that's it. He was a visionary. In cosmetics, Clarins, for example, had begun a long time ago, and Mr. Courtin Clarins was the first. He was a massagist, and he has understood that the woman need to understand what the brand do for them. So he has done, at the very beginning, many, many letters. For example, inside, long time ago, you find in every packaging a little address you can write to Monsieur Jacques Courtin Clarins himself. And Mr. Jacques Courtin Clarins himself answered to the ladies, yes, okay, this cream don't fit to your skin. Okay, explain me a little better, but just try this other one. The women were fascinated because they received letters from Mr. Courtin Clarins, the owner, and after he has developed this system, but for a group of few billions of incomes. So imagine. And this is the gun machine of Clarins. And I am talking this about the roots because, in fact, Mr. Courtin Clarins was a massagist, was not a guy who was promoted to do cosmetics at the very beginning, but he understood that the women were lost. They don't know exactly what to use and how to use it. So he built this idea with few products, and after, the roots of Clarins is the simplicity to be also educative and, of course, perfect. When I say imagine the future as far as you can, now we were talking about what is the ground of our brand. But at the same time, we need to see and to think where we want to go, like Steve Jobs. We say, okay, today we are like this, but in 2-3 years, we want to have this vision to do this. So when you have the roots and the future, you grow the tree. Focus on your market and consumers' wishes. Well, of course. But this is today very complicated to analyze. There are so many messages. It's very difficult to say, okay, the trend is like this, now it's the year of blue, next year is the yellow or whatever. It's very complicated. So the analysis of the consumers are very complicated. In France, I create a company called Rosae, and at the difference of all the companies of marketing researchers and panels, we do street panels. In fact, what was the idea? To have the answer of a consumer when he is or she is in the process of buying something. Not when she's in a small room with little cakes and with the packaging in front of or the advertisement. It's just when you go to buy, you are having the mind, I want to buy something, I need this or I don't need that, and we take the answers. So this is a process very important because it's not, I am not saying that you need to follow the words strictly, but you need to understand how the people, what's the perception. And to have like a car, you can know if you are going too fast or going too slow. Well, it's 6 points. In fact, I say 5, but it's mainly 6. I don't know if I am clear. I don't know if some of you have questions about that. If not, I continue. Okay, I will. Perhaps we will do the. Okay. Now I would like to show you four different cases, because it's 4 different problems I have faced in my career now. Since 30 years, I have faced so many questions and totally different every day. So I can tell you that's why experience and branding is not something you just begin designer and you can know. Experience, it's for something. Clarence, I have called it the case evolution, because when Mr. Courtin Clarence and Serge Rosinoer, the vice president, well, president too, asked me to analyze what was the feeling, what was the problem inside Clarence. I show you only one part of the work, because in fact I have done an audit of all the group. So all the communication, internal, external, corporate, group, holdings, etc. But this is the product part. In fact, when they show me that, I say, okay, you know, perhaps some designers could say, oh yes, even me. Well, you know, Mr. Courtin, you know, the white and the red is, wow, it's very boring, okay? But the company was worth 5 or 6 billions at this time, or I don't remember exactly, but it was big sales all around the world. So I said, okay, it's not the whole thing we need to organize. But as you see, on the past, the packaging mainly, well, there were many versions. You have this logo. What is the problem of this logo? This logo was created in the years 60s, when the booths were not existing, the supermarkets, the shopping malls were just at the very beginning, and so they have no booths, so this logo takes a lot of place. But this signal, many women knew it. Secondly, as you see, the C on the top was on the top of the packaging, is in a square, the other is elliptical, and you have the French with translation, multi-active jour, English, they don't care. And here, sometimes mention about the plant, sometimes mention about the skin, sometimes, well, so in fact, all this packaging were not structured as professional. My position was to say, okay, we don't need to change all, because there are very strong bases, very big roots on this packaging, many people know them, but we are going to reorganize. So I create this opening of the ellipse. So when I open, the name Clarence, the logo began bigger, but you have all in the memory this logo. And you know, the funny thing is many of my my colleagues tell me, but what have you done in Clarence? You have done nothing. I say, okay, I have done a good job. Because in fact the idea was the people think it's more modern, but it looks like before. After, in the main details, of course, I have reorganized the English, same size, because, of course, the market was international, so the English can't be so small like it was before. After I have worked all the ranges, I have created signals, because, as we say, I have said lately, in the boots, there were very less sellers in the Sephora, in the Marionneau, in whatever, so the packaging needs to speak by himself. And inside, we have developed, of course, the whole system of communication inside to have a contact with the brand and to have, like was invented by Mr. Courtin, this communication daily related to the brand. Okay, this is the case, de Cléor. I don't know if you are familiar with this brand. Well, the colors are a little flashy. They are a little bit more elegant in my computer, but anyhow. In fact, the owner of this brand was Mr. Le Sieur. In fact, Le Sieur, it's a brand of oils in France. That's why, and he has developed this brand about essential oils, so relation. But this was the clue of the brand. At the beginning, this was the brand. So as you see, well, big logo, very strong, even masculine. The colors, well, you have a blue range, a pink range, a green range, a gold range, if I remember. Like you see, sometimes here you have the blue, the hydrating, generally the pink, the moisturizing, the gold, anti-aging or whitening, depends, the red, exactly the same, etc. And everybody do the same. But, in fact, the signal, the most well of de Cléor was this, is what the advertisement. Because you have this in the POS everywhere, in all the saloons, you have this image with the essential oils. So when I begin the work, the guy will say, okay, don't go too far because, well, I don't know. You know, my business I am careful about. And I say, okay, of course, I agree. But few by few, I was working, and we say, okay, but it's very boring. In fact, if you ask to anybody, the people, if you say, how is de Cléor? Is yellowish, or perhaps a little sunny thing. So we decide to put, for the first time in the world, a complete range of cosmetics in yellow. It's not orange like that. Huh? And when we present that to the sellers, I remember we have done a meeting in Cannes. The biggest sellers was England, UK, and Australia. And the two guys fell down from the chair. They say, no, you are crazy. It's incredible. You can't do that. And the others say, okay, I don't sell very much. This is appealing. It's fantastic. Now the case is the fact that in UK they were so happy because in the cosmetics, in the skincare, for the first time, this coat color was only used for the sun products. But in fact, the consumers have no care of that. They like this yellow. It's appealing. And when you see all the brands, this yellow, you see it very well. And it's totally related to the grounds and the roots of the brand. Here again, we come back to my clues and the things I have talked about. Well, the logo, as you see, we have modernized a little. It's a little bit thicker in the screen, but we have put this yellow, this leaf. Okay, now today there are too many leaves in the market, I think. So the case we have studied now before, de Cléor, I call it revolution. This is a brand created from zero. It's a brand who was owned, and I think already owned, by a group in Korea called Sheljedang. Sheljedang is the equivalent of Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. In fact, they do soft drinks, so nothing to do with cosmetics. But as you know, in Korea, the groups do many things. They do like Lucky Eagle Star, they do cars, they do cosmetics, perfume, elevators, whatever. So the president of Emprani asked us to create from zero a name, a logo, a total brand. So we have created this name Enprani, because in Korea they pronounce it a little bit like that, and looks like a little French, but not totally French. And we have created this very classic shape of logo with this AP, very simple. It's, of course, absolutely classic. But the purpose was to compete with the big companies from the West and the big ones from the Korea, because the Pacific group, it's a very huge group, and Lucky Golsa also. And we have created a whole range from scratch, of course, with some codes that can be familiar from brands you know, like the black and the gold, of course, is not related only to Empany, but is the whole system. And this brand, I have created this, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. It's still on the market, and is doing very well. Now, it's a Korean brand like the others, but it's like a French-Dutch. It's a Frenchy, Dutchy Korean brand, because in Korea, and it's the mistake I have done when I begin my work in Korea. You know, I was like in China, fascinated by the characters. So I say to my client, "Oh, we are going to put Korean names and Korean scriptures," and they say, "No, you are crazy. No, we don't want. We want just even you know the names in some brands in Korea. You don't read it. They are so small. They don't want Korean things." Is the way to do luxury in Korea. And after we have developed makeup, POS, well, all the system. And the last, it's a case a little different, and this is interesting, for example, for the brands, the Chinese brand who want also, like the French brands who want to enter here, but also for the brands from China who want to go on the West, because one day, I think, what happened in the West before will happen here. The brands need to go. So they need to go outside. And I think China has the potential. So this case, in fact, is completely because I work with Alisa Jabez. She bought this brand, was a little brand, you know, very, very, very small. Just one little shop, she bought it. And it was going quite well in pharmaceutical stores. But there were many problems. Okay, I don't know. I don't have the past. I am sorry. I think I forget to. Yes, sorry. But the tree was, in fact, yes, here. You see, the tree was in a sort of box. But the old logo was a tree. This I have not invented. It's a very old logo. It was done, I think, even before Mulberry and other brands. It's very, very old. And I say, but it's confusing. A tree is the freedom. Why a box? It's like you have, I don't know, a bonsai. No, you need to go. And also, there were many technical problems. Technical problems because too much leaves, so printing very complicated. This is also our work, is to focus on the technical issues, not only on the creative. So I opened this logo. I have put out many, many leaves, so it was printable in many techniques, and we have changed a little bit the font, but still keeping the same signal. No reason to change the signal. But after the work, the first packaging have only French, because they sell at this time only in France. So all my work has been to create line per line segmentation after to organize all the mentions. And the organization of the mention is something very crucial. I have learned that from Clarence, because now I know, before I don't know, I am not, at first not a woman, and so I never considered this point. But I know now because I have worked on cosmetics and I have known some women and consumers, so it's very important to have a very clear information. So to have, for example, the name of the product or the range, because in China there is sometimes a problem, very new for me when I came here. For example, some brands have a logo brand, but the sub-brands are bigger than the logo of the brand. And this is strange. It means that, for example, some groups, not to mention one of them, but I have, of course I know who I am speaking of, but they have some sub-brands bigger than the big brand. And it's the contrary they should have. the big brand, and the sub-brands smaller. Because after, if not, you need to speak a lot to understand. If not, you have like 5 brands. So it's complicated to manage. After, you need to have, of course, definition of the product, what is related for, and, for example, the advantage or whatever you want to say. This is because you have very few time, even you are alone, even you don't want to be with the seller because you don't know if she tell you the truth or not, because they just want to have money. So you prefer to read by yourself. This is the same problem of Clarence, but also done for the international market, so this related to French to English. So this case was very long to do because the range from Nux is very big, and it was also complicated because they have many names, many creative names, so we need to have special information for them. So this is the case of Nux. It's what I say, a case of externalization, how to explain outside, for example, if, I don't know, one brand of China want to go in the West, you need to put it in a good language, in a good way, even if you have the Chinese. Because nowadays, when I came in Shanghai 8 years ago, no, 9 years ago, the image of China has changed totally from 8 years and 10 years before than today. Today, even some friends, I meet them more in Shanghai than in France. It's incredible. Everybody is coming here. So for me, you have a very big chance to take, but you need someone who can explain you what is the habits, how it works, and for this, a branding designer, it's important because we are people who can help you because we have observed, we know the clues, and we know exactly where not to go and how to go. And this is very important to avoid the mistakes. Some packaging I have seen here have translation so funny. They should have a copywriter or foreign people well, but this is the problem of the language, and even now today we have international markets, so it's very complicated to manage. But I mean, at least it's better to have the good words. Okay, this is the 4 cases, and I think I have done my time to let you answer, ask me questions if you have. I hope it was not too boring. I am not very familiar with conferences, but thank you, 谢谢你。